The stars hung like tiny jewels against the blackness as the Volcraxian survey ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the unremarkable yellow star. Commander Zalthep stood on the bridge, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the readings from the third planet in the system. His gray skin reflected the soft blue light from the control panels. "Another dead world," said his second-in-command, Officer Trell. "Looks like they destroyed themselves." Commander Zalthep wasn't so sure. In his 300 years of service to the Volcraxian Empire, he had seen many dead worlds. Something about this one felt different. "Send down the survey teams," he ordered. Standard protocol for nuclear-devastated worlds. The teams landed on the surface of the planet called Earth. They wore protective suits that made them look like walking bubbles. The land was scarred by old wars, but plants and animals had returned. Nature had begun to heal what humans had damaged. Lead. Researcher Vel moved her scanning device over a patch of ground that seemed ordinary. The device beeped loudly. "Commander, we have unusual readings. Metal structures deep underground." That was the moment everything changed for the Volcraxian Empire. They had just found humanity's greatest secret. Days later, after much digging and scanning, the Volcraxians found the first entrance. A massive door, made of a metal they couldn't identify, hidden beneath what had once been a mountain. It took their best technology 3 days to open it. Inside, they found rows and rows of glass chambers. In each chamber was a sleeping human, but not ordinary humans. These were different. Taller, stronger-looking, with brain patterns that shocked the Volcraxian scientists. "They're not just humans," researcher Vel said, her voice filled with wonder. "They're enhanced, their brains are operating even in this deep sleep. They're processing information." Commander Zalthep sent word to the Empire. This discovery was too important to keep secret. Soon, high-ranking officials arrived from the Volcraxian homeworld. "We should wake one," said Science Director Krell. "Just one to study." They chose a female from the chambers. The process took hours, and everyone watched nervously as the glass chamber slowly opened with a hiss of air. The woman inside took her first breath in over 200 years. Her eyes opened, a startling blue that seemed to look through the aliens rather than at them. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice rough from not being used. The Volcraxians used their translation devices to communicate with her. They learned her name was Dr. Lisa Moore, and she had been a scientist before going into the sleep chamber. "Why were you put to sleep?" Commander Zalthep asked. Lisa looked around at the alien faces. She seemed to be making a decision about how much to say. "We knew something was coming," she finally said. "Something our world couldn't survive. Those of us in these chambers were created to live through it and rebuild after." Science Director. Krell moved closer to the human. "Created? You are artificial?" Lisa shook her head. "No. Enhanced. Our regular human scientists created us using genetic engineering. We're still human, just more, stronger, faster, smarter, designed to survive and rebuild." The Volcraxians discussed this among themselves in their own language, which they thought Lisa couldn't understand. But they noticed her eyes tracking their conversation with too much interest. "We should wake more," Science Director Krell said, "for complete study." Over Lisa's protests, they chose 2 more chambers to open. From one emerged a tall man with broad shoulders who introduced himself as Jack Boyd. He had been a military specialist. From the other came a woman with quick eyes and steady hands named Samantha Wells, an engineer. The 3 humans were taken to a Volcraxian research station orbiting Earth. There they were given comfortable rooms that were also carefully monitored, cells. Scientists studied them, asked them questions, and ran tests on their enhanced bodies and minds. "They learn impossibly fast," one researcher reported to Commander Zalthep. "The engineer, Samantha, watched one of our technicians fix a power coupling once, and now she understands our entire power system. The military one, Jack, memorized our entire station layout during his single escorted walk to the medical center," said another. Commander Zalthep felt uneasy. The Volcraxian Empire had encountered thousands of species in its 3,000 years of existence. None had shown abilities like these humans. And the worst part, said researcher Vel, is that they're hiding things from us. They're smart, enough to know exactly what to tell us and what to keep secret. Meanwhile, the humans were indeed keeping secrets. When alone in their quarters, they spoke in whispers, aware they were being watched but finding ways to communicate anyway. They don't understand what we are, Lisa said one night, her lips barely moving as she pretended to read a data tablet the Volcraxians had given her. They think we're just an interesting variation of human. How long before they realize? Jack asked, exercising in the corner of his room as he did every day, maintaining his strength. Not long enough, Samantha replied in her quarters, working on what appeared to be a simple puzzle the aliens had given her. We need to move soon. On Earth, the Volcraxians continued exploring the underground structures. They found more, and more chambers, thousands spread across all continents. They decided to move many of the sleeping humans to the research station for safekeeping, not realizing they were bringing their own doom aboard. Commander Zalthep reviewed the latest reports in his private office. The Science Council had decided to wake more humans soon for expanded research. He couldn't explain his growing sense of dread. In her room, Lisa Moore closed her eyes but wasn't sleeping. She was concentrating, using her enhanced mind to do something the Volcraxians believed impossible. She was communicating with the still sleeping humans aboard the station through subtle electrical signals her brain could generate. Get ready, her mind whispered to those still in stasis. We wake soon. In his quarters, Jack Boyd continued his exercises, each movement precise and powerful. He knew every weakness in the station's security now. He was just waiting for the right moment. Samantha Wells had secretly modified the simple electronic puzzle she'd been given. With a few expert adjustments, it could now interface with the station's systems. She had created a tool that could access the Volcraxian computers. The sleeping giants of humanity were no longer fully asleep, and the Volcraxian Empire was about to learn a painful lesson about waking something they didn't understand. The lights in the research station dimmed slightly as the power cycling procedure began. This happened every 30 hours, a standard practice on all Volcraxian facilities. For most of the alien crew, it was just another routine moment. For the 3 awakened humans, it was the opportunity they had been waiting for. In her quarters, Samantha Wells sat cross-legged on the floor, the modified puzzle device hidden in her palm. She had studied the power fluctuations during previous cycles. She knew there was a 3-second window when the backup systems took over before the main systems came back online, 3 seconds when the monitoring devices would be at their weakest. Now, she whispered to herself, and pressed a sequence on her device. Throughout the station, security fields flickered, camera systems reset, door locks disengaged for just a moment. It was enough. Jack Boyd moved with surprising speed for a man his size. The moment his cell door unlocked, he was through it and down the corridor. He had memorized the patrol schedules. No guards were in this section during power cycling, a security oversight the Volcraxians would soon regret. Lisa Moore was already moving too. She reached the section where additional humans had been brought from Earth, still in their stasis chambers. The Volcraxians had been studying them without waking them. Lisa's fingers flew over the control panel, initiating the wake-up sequence for a carefully selected group. Security breach in sectors 7, 12, and 15. The alarm finally sounded as the power systems returned to normal. But by then it was too late. Chief Security Officer Krentok rushed to the monitoring center. His skin had turned a pale blue, the Volcraxian sign of extreme stress. How did they get out? He demanded. Unknown, sir, a technician replied. The systems show no unauthorized access. On another deck, Jack Boyd reached a secondary command center. It was smaller than the main bridge, used mostly for training exercises. He sealed the doors behind him and began accessing the station's systems. Commander Zalthep was in his quarters when the alarm sounded. He rushed toward the main bridge, but halfway there, the doors ahead of him sealed shut. Throughout the station, corridors were being sealed off, separating the Volcraxian crew into isolated groups. This is a coordinated attack, he realized, with growing horror. They planned this. In the chamber storage area, the first of the additional humans was waking up. A tall woman with short gray hair sat up in her opened stasis pod. She looked disoriented for only a moment before her enhanced mind processed the situation. "Dr. Moore," she said, recognizing Lisa. "Status report?" "In progress, Dr. Foster," Lisa replied. "We're taking the station." More pods were opening. 20 enhanced humans were now awake, then 30, then 50. Each one woke with the same brief disorientation followed by sharp focus. Each had been specifically chosen for this first phase. Security specialists, system engineers, tactical officers from humanity's past. Samantha Wells had made her way to the station's environmental control center. 2 Volcraxian technicians tried to stop her, but they were no match for her enhanced speed and strength. She didn't kill them. The humans had agreed that unnecessary deaths would be avoided, but she left them unconscious and locked in a storage closet. Environmental systems secured, she reported through a communication device she had fashioned from parts stolen over the previous weeks. "Secondary command center secured," Jack replied through his own device. "I have control of 70% of the station's functions. Commander Zalthep managed to reach the main bridge by taking emergency maintenance tunnels. His senior officers had gathered there, all showing signs of stress in their discolored skin. "How is this possible?" demanded Science Director Krell. "They're primitives. Their world destroyed itself." "We were wrong," Commander Zalthep said simply. "We were very wrong." The main view screen activated without anyone touching the controls. Jack Boyd's face appeared on it. "Commander Zalthep," he said, "your crew is unharmed. We have no desire to hurt anyone." "What do you want?" the commander asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "This station for now," Jack replied. "And our people. All of them." On the lower decks, the awakened humans had organized themselves with impressive speed. They moved through the corridors with purpose, securing key areas. More stasis chambers were being activated every minute. Officer Trell managed to lead a security team to try to retake the environmental control center. They were met by 5 enhanced humans led by Dr. Foster. The Volcraxians fired their stun weapons, but the humans moved with uncanny speed, dodging most of the blasts. Those that hit seemed to have less effect than they should. "Another gift from our creators," Dr. Foster said, noticing Officer Trell's confusion. "Accelerated recovery. Stun us if you must, but we won't stay down long." Within 3 hours, the situation had completely reversed. The Volcraxians were contained in quarters and non-essential areas. The humans controlled all key systems. Nearly 200 enhanced humans were now awake. Commander Zalthep sat in a meeting room across from Lisa Moore and a newly awakened man who had introduced himself as Alan Grant. "You must understand our position," Alan said. His voice was calm but carried authority. "We've awakened in a galaxy we know nothing about, taken prisoner by an empire we've never encountered." "You were not prisoners," Zalthep protested. "You were research subjects." "Without consent," Lisa pointed out. "That makes us prisoners." Alan leaned forward. "We're going to release your shuttle bay. Your personnel can leave the station and return to your fleet. But this station is now ours." "The Empire will not allow this," Zalthep warned. "They will send ships." "We're counting on it," Alan replied with a small smile. "We need to establish communication eventually, but it will be as equals, not as specimens." On the secondary bridge, now their main command center, Samantha Wells and Jack Boyd were studying the Volcraxian database with several other awakened humans. "There's so much to learn," Samantha said, her eyes wide as she scrolled through star charts showing hundreds of inhabited worlds. "And they've learned too much about us," Jack replied grimly. "They know where Earth is. They know about the stasis chambers." In another section of the station, more enhanced humans were waking up. Each one received a brief orientation upon awakening. Each one accepted the situation with remarkable adaptability, a trait their creators had specifically engineered into them. "We're calling the station Haven now," one of the greeters told a newly awakened man. "Welcome to the first human outpost among the stars." As the Volcraxian shuttle departed with Commander Zalthep and his senior officers aboard, the commander looked back at the station through a viewport. It had taken the Volcraxian Empire 3,000 years to become the dominant power in this part of the galaxy. Now he feared that era might be coming to an end, all because they had awakened something they didn't understand. "Message the fleet," he told his communications officer. Tell them we may have made a terrible mistake." 7 days had passed since the humans took control of the station they now called Haven. In what had once been the Volcraxian officers' mess hall, Alan Grant stood before a group of 25 enhanced humans who formed their leadership council. The room hummed with quiet energy as these people, created to save humanity, faced their new reality. "We've awakened just over 500 of us now," Alan said. His voice was strong but tired. None of them had slept much in the past week. "That's all we can support with current resources." Lisa Moore nodded. She had dark circles under her eyes from long hours studying the Volcraxian databases. "We need to understand our position in this galaxy before we wake more. The Volcraxians are only one species among many." Samantha Wells pulled up a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed their solar system, with the station highlighted as a small blinking dot near Earth. At the edge of the system, a cluster of larger dots appeared. "The Volcraxian response fleet has arrived," she said. 17 warships. They're keeping their distance for now, but they're watching us." Jack Boyd studied the display with narrowed eyes. "Have they tried to scan the planet again?" "Yes," Samantha replied, "but something interesting happened when they did." She adjusted the display to show Earth. "There appears to be some kind of shielding technology activating on the planet. Technology that wasn't active when the Volcraxians first came." Murmur ran through the room. This was unexpected news. "Are you saying there are active defenses on Earth, left by our creators?" asked Dr. Foster, the gray-haired woman who had become their chief medical officer. Lisa stepped forward. "I've been reviewing the historical data we've recovered from the Volcraxian archives. They made a critical error in their assessment of human history." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "They believed our civilization destroyed itself in a nuclear war. That's not what happened." She brought up images. The Volcraxians had taken of Earth's surface, scarred landscapes, ruined cities, radiation traces in certain areas. The Volcraxians found evidence of massive destruction and radiation. They assumed we did this to ourselves. But look at the pattern. She highlighted areas on a global map. These aren't random strikes from a civil war. They're deliberate defensive positions. The room fell silent as understanding dawned. "We were attacked," Alan said quietly. "Yes," Lisa confirmed, "and I think our creators knew it was coming. They built us in the stasis chambers as a backup plan. They fought, but they also made sure humanity would survive, even if they lost." A young man named Ben Rogers, who had been a historian before, entering stasis, spoke up. "That explains the programming in our minds. We all woke with complete knowledge of human history, science, and culture, everything our creators wanted preserved. But who attacked Earth? Was it the Volcraxians?" "Someone asked." "No," Lisa said firmly. "According to their records, they discovered Earth only recently. The attack happened over 200 years ago." Jack turned to Ben. "Is there anything in our programmed memories about an alien threat?" Ben closed his eyes, accessing the vast library of information that had been loaded into his enhanced mind before stasis. "Nothing specific, just a sense that we needed to be prepared, that we might face hostility." Samantha had been working on a separate console while they talked. She looked up suddenly. "You need to see this," she said, her voice tight with excitement. She transferred her findings to the main display. It showed a schematic of Earth with dozens of points highlighted deep underground. "These aren't just more stasis chambers," she explained. "They're automated facilities. Manufacturing, plants, research labs, defense systems, all hidden deep underground where they survived whatever happened to the planet." "Are they active?" Alan asked. "They're becoming active," Samantha replied. "When we woke up, we sent signals without even knowing it. Our enhanced brains emit specific patterns. Those patterns are triggering activation protocols in these facilities. The implications were enormous. Their creators hadn't just preserved humans, they had preserved human technology and infrastructure too. We need to get back to Earth, Jack said firmly. We need to access those facilities. A warning alert sounded from the display. Samantha quickly assessed it. The Volcraxian fleet is moving. They're taking up blockade positions. They don't want us going to the planet. Alan studied the fleet movements. Despite having no formal military training before stasis, his enhanced mind quickly grasped the tactical situation. They're afraid. They've realized we're more than they thought, and they're calling for reinforcements. Lisa had been quiet, studying the data about the underground facilities. There's something else, she said slowly. Look at these energy readings from the largest facility under what used to be the Pacific Ocean floor. That's not just machinery activating. It's building something. On the main view screen, they could see the Volcraxian fleet spreading out, cutting off paths to Earth. The enhanced humans exchanged glances. They were trapped on the station with limited resources, cut off from the very world they were designed to reclaim. Ben spoke up again. I just remembered something. From our programmed knowledge. A phrase. Sleeping giants awaken slowly, but when fully roused, they shake the earth. A small smile formed on Alan's face. Our creators left us a message. And I think they left us a way to fight back too. Dr. Foster had been analyzing the medical data from their awakened people. There's something else you should know, she said. Our bodies are continuing to change. The abilities we were designed with, enhanced strength, intelligence, healing, they're getting stronger. It's as if leaving stasis triggered another phase of our development. As if to demonstrate, she held up her hand. Small arcs of electricity danced between her fingers. I discovered this ability yesterday. Others are developing similar changes. The council members stared in amazement. Their creators had built in more surprises than they had realized. Suddenly, a new alert sounded, different from the first. Samantha rushed to check it. We're receiving a transmission, she said, sounding confused. Not from the Volcraxian fleet. It's coming from Earth, from one of the underground facilities. The room fell silent as Samantha put the transmission on. The main screen. Static flickered, then cleared to show the face of a woman none of them recognized. Sleeping giants, the woman said, her image occasionally breaking up. If you're receiving this, then our last hope has been realized. You're awake. She smiled, though there was sadness in her eyes. We may be gone, but we left you everything you need. The Guardians are awakening. Find them. They will help you reclaim our world and take humanity's place among the stars. The transmission ended, leaving the enhanced humans staring at the screen, in silence. A message from their creators recorded 2 centuries ago, waiting all this time for them to wake up. Alan looked around the room at the faces of his fellow enhanced humans. Our mission just got clearer, he said. We need to reach Earth. We need to find these Guardians. Jack nodded toward the display showing the Volcraxian blockade. First, we need to deal with them. And quickly, Lisa added. Because if those ships are just the advance force, we don't want to be here when the main fleet arrives. Admiral Zekvara stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominant Will, and watched the stolen research station on his view screen. His skin had taken on the deep purple color of frustration, a feeling he was not accustomed to as commander of the Volcraxian Third Fleet. Still no response to our demands? He asked his communications officer. None, Admiral, the officer replied. They receive our transmissions but do not answer. The Admiral's 4 eyes narrowed. He had simple orders from the Imperial Command: recapture the humans or destroy them. The research station had significant value, but it was acceptable damage if necessary. Prepare the first wave, he ordered. Show them the consequence of defiance. On Haven, the enhanced humans watched the Volcraxian ships change formation. They had gathered in what was now their main control center, a large room they had modified with both Volcraxian technology and human innovations. They're preparing to attack, Jack Boyd said, studying the tactical display. Alan Grant nodded. Sooner than I expected. I thought they would try to starve us out first. Lisa Moore had been working with Samantha Wells at a different console. That might be because of this, she said, pointing to their screen. The activity on Earth is increasing. Look at these energy readings. The display showed multiple points on Earth's surface glowing with increased power signatures. The defense systems our creators left behind, Samantha explained. They're coming online faster now. Ben Rogers approached with another enhanced human named Kelly Martinez, who had been a systems engineer. We found something in the Volcraxian database, Kelly said. A way to modify the station's shields. If we redirect power from non-essential systems, we might withstand their first attack. Do it, Alan ordered. As Kelly and her team rushed to make the modifications, Dr. Foster entered the control room. We have a development, she said. More of our people are showing signs of those advanced abilities I mentioned. Paul can manipulate gravity in small areas. Hannah has developed extreme sensory perception, and Carlos seems able to interface directly with computer systems just by touching them. Our creators built in more than we realized, Lisa said quietly. These abilities must have been dormant until we woke from stasis. An alarm sounded. On the main screen, they saw 5 Volcraxian ships breaking from the main fleet and moving toward them. They're in attack range in 3 minutes, Jack announced. Shields at maximum, Kelly reported. But they won't hold for long against a sustained attack. Alan looked around at his people. We need to reach Earth. That's our primary objective. Now. But how? Samantha asked. We can't outrun those ships, and we only have basic weapons systems on this station. Jack had been studying something on his console. There might be a way, he said, but it's risky. Before he could explain, the first wave of Volcraxian ships opened fire. The station shook as energy blasts hit the shields. Shields holding at 80%, Kelly reported. But they're already adjusting their weapons frequency to break through faster. On the dominant will, Admiral Zekvara watched with satisfaction as his ships began their attack. Have the second wave prepare to... He was interrupted by his tactical officer. Admiral, energy spike from the planet's surface. The Admiral turned to see a massive beam of energy shoot up from Earth's surface, striking one of his attack ships. The vessel's shields flared bright blue, then failed. The ship itself went dark, all systems apparently disabled. What was that? The Admiral demanded. Unknown weapon, sir, his tactical officer replied, voice shaking. It came from somewhere in the planet's northern hemisphere. Alan and the others on Haven watched in amazement as one of the attacking Volcraxian ships drifted powerless in space. The Zao. Guardians, Lisa whispered. They're defending us. More energy beams shot up from different points on Earth, targeting the remaining attack ships. 2 more were disabled. The other 2 quickly retreated to the safety of the main fleet. The planetary defense system is fully online, Samantha said, reading the data flowing across her screen. And it's not just defensive weapons. Look at this. A new signal was being broadcast from Earth on all frequencies. It wasn't aimed at Haven or at the Volcraxian fleet. It was broadcasting outward, to the stars. It's a distress signal, Ben said, analyzing the transmission. Our creators set up an automated call for help and it's just activated. Help from whom? Jack asked. No one had an answer to that. On the dominant will, Admiral Zekvara was facing a crisis. 3 of his ships were disabled, and the planet below had revealed weapons technology far beyond what the Empire possessed. We need to withdraw and regroup, his second-in-command suggested. No, the Admiral said firmly. Imperial command was clear. We contain this threat now before it spreads. He turned to his weapons officer. Prepare the Nova charges. The officer looked shocked. Sir, those are planet-killer weapons. They're only authorized for... I am authorizing them, the Admiral interrupted. We will eliminate this threat permanently. Back on Haven, Carlos, one of the enhanced humans with new abilities, had joined the command team. He placed his hand on a console and closed his eyes. I can feel the Volcraxian communications, he said, his voice distant. They're preparing to use weapons called Nova charges. They're designed to destroy a planet's surface. Alarm spread through the command center. Can the planetary defenses stop those? Alan asked. Samantha studied the readings from Earth. I don't know. The defenses are powerful, but we don't know their limits. Jack had been working on his earlier idea. I think I have our way to Earth, he said urgently. The station has escape pods designed to reach a planet's surface in emergencies. We can modify them to carry more people. How many? Alan asked. Maybe 50 per pod. There are 20 pods. We could get our key people to the surface. Lisa looked troubled. That would mean leaving hundreds behind on the station. If those nova charges hit Earth, everyone dies, Jack pointed out grimly. Alan made a quick decision. Start preparing the pods. But we need a distraction to get past that fleet. He turned to Carlos. Can you send a message to the planetary defense system? Carlos nodded slowly. I think so. What do you want to tell it? Tell it we need covering fire. A lot of it. As they prepared to make their desperate run to Earth, the Volcraxian fleet began moving into position to launch their planet killer weapons. It was a race against time. Dr. Foster organized the enhanced humans, selecting those with the most developed special abilities and critical knowledge to go in the first pods. The future of humanity depends on reaching those underground facilities, she told them as they prepared. Our creators left us the tools we need. We just have to get to them. In space, the nova charges were being loaded onto special launch vessels. Admiral Zekvara watched with grim determination. He had sent an urgent message to the Imperial High Command. Unknown human technology active on planet surface. Threat level maximum. Proceeding with planetary sterilization. The response had been immediate. Approved. Eliminate all human presence in system. On Haven, the first escape pods were ready. Alan looked at his core team, Lisa, Jack, Samantha, Ben, Carlos, Dr. Foster, and Kelly. Our creators believed in us, he said simply. They trusted that we would finish what they started. Now we have our chance. The station shook again as the Volcraxian fleet fired warning shots. Time was running out. Carlos, his hand still on the console, suddenly smiled. The Guardians say they're ready, he announced. They're going to give us our distraction. Across Earth's surface, dozens of massive weapons emerged from hidden bunkers, all aiming toward space. The sleeping giants that humanity had left behind were fully awake now, and they were angry. The sky above Earth lit up with brilliant flashes of light as the planet's defense systems fired at the Volcraxian fleet. Beams of energy shot upward from dozens of locations across the surface, creating a web of destruction that the alien ships struggled to avoid. All pods ready for launch, Jack Boyd reported in Haven's control center. The enhanced humans had worked quickly, preparing their escape to Earth's surface. Alan Grant nodded. Begin launch sequence. Stagger the departures to make them harder. To target. The first escape pod ejected from the station, carrying 50 enhanced humans including Dr. Foster and her medical team. It immediately accelerated toward Earth, using the chaos of the battle as cover. On the dominant will, Admiral Zekvara watched in growing horror as more of his ships lost power, disabled by the planet's defenses. The Nova charge vessels need 3 more minutes to reach firing position, his weapons officer reported. They won't have 3 minutes at this rate, the Admiral muttered. He made a quick decision. All ships, concentrate fire on those surface weapon emplacements. We need to clear a path for the Nova charges. The remaining Volcraxian ships shifted their attack from Haven to the planet's surface, firing powerful energy weapons at the locations where the defensive beams originated. In the second escape pod, Lisa Moore and Samantha Wells watched through a viewport as explosions blossomed across Earth's surface, where the Volcraxian weapons struck. They're targeting the defense systems, Lisa said, her voice tight with worry. Samantha checked the pods. Sensors. The defensive shields are holding in most places, but they can't withstand concentrated fire forever. The pod shook violently as it passed through an energy wave from a nearby explosion. For a moment, the 2 women thought they had been hit, but the small vessel continued its rapid descent toward the planet. Back on Haven, Alan and Jack prepared to board the final pod with Carlos and the last group of enhanced humans. Most of the station was now empty. What about the people we're leaving behind? Carlos asked, looking troubled. They've moved to the most secure section of the station, Jack assured him. If we succeed on the surface, we can come back for them. Alan looked at the tactical display one last time. The Volcraxian fleet had lost nearly a third of its ships to Earth's defenses, but they were adapting, learning the patterns of the defensive fire and avoiding it. Time to go, he said. As their pod launched, the station's automatic systems initiated a shutdown sequence. Lights dimmed throughout the empty corridors as Haven prepared for a long period without human operators. The final pod plunged toward Earth, following the same path as the others. Through the viewport, Alan could see several pods ahead of them, already entering the atmosphere, their hulls glowing red with the heat of re-entry. Suddenly, Jack pointed to something in the distance. Look, a massive Volcraxian vessel different from the others was moving into position. Its front section opened to reveal what could only be the Nova Charge, a weapon designed to destroy all life on a planet's surface. They're going to fire, Carlos said, his enhanced vision allowing him to see details the others couldn't. The weapon is powering up. On the planet's surface, the first pods had already landed. Dr. Foster led her group out onto Earth's soil, the first humans to walk there in over 200 years. They had landed near what their sensors indicated was one of the largest underground facilities in a region that had once been called Colorado. Find the entrance, she ordered. Quickly. As her team spread out, searching for a way into the facility, she looked up at the battle raging in the sky above. Even from the ground, she could see the ominous shape of the Nova Charge vessel moving into firing position. In Lisa and Samantha's pod, which was still descending, panic gave way to determination. There must be something we can do, Lisa said. Samantha had been studying the pod's systems. Maybe there is. These pods have basic communication arrays. If I can boost the signal and connect with the planetary defense network. She began working feverishly with the pod's limited equipment, trying to establish a direct link to the defense systems. In the final pod, Carlos suddenly gasped and pressed his hands to his temples. What is it? Alan asked. I can hear them, Carlos said, his voice filled with wonder. The Guardians, they're not just defense systems, they're thinking, they're aware. Artificial intelligence? Jack suggested. Carlos shook his head. More than that, something our creators made to watch over Earth until we returned. His eyes snapped open. They're speaking to me. They say they've been waiting for us. They need our help to activate the final defense. Tell them we're coming, Alan said urgently. But we need more time. In space, Admiral Zekvara gave the final order. Fire the Nova Charge. The massive weapon began to glow with terrible energy, preparing to release its planet-killing power. Throughout the Volcraxian fleet, crews watched in solemn silence. Many felt uncomfortable with the extreme measure, but none questioned the Admiral's orders. As Dr. Foster's team found the entrance to the underground facility, a massive door built into the side of a mountain, the ground beneath them suddenly trembled. At first, they feared the Nova Charge had been fired, but then they realized the vibration was coming from beneath them. The facility was awakening. The giant door slowly slid open, revealing a vast complex filled with technology beyond anything they had imagined. And at the center of the main chamber stood a humanoid figure. Not quite human, but clearly designed to appear human-like. Welcome home, it said, in a voice that sounded almost alive. I am Guardian Alpha. I have waited 237 years for your return. In Samantha and Lisa's pod, now safely landed in what had once been Central Asia, Samantha finally established connection with the defense network. I'm in, she exclaimed. The system is asking for authorization. Lisa didn't hesitate. Tell it. Sleeping giants are awake. The moment the phrase was entered, the entire defense network shifted to a new level of activity. Across the planet, hidden installations that had remained dormant even after the initial awakening now came to life. In orbit, the Nova Charge vessel was seconds away from firing when something massive began rising from Earth's oceans. A structure the size of a small city emerged from the Pacific. water cascading off its metallic surface as it oriented itself toward space. "What is that?" Admiral Zekvara demanded, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. Before anyone could answer, the structure fired a blinding beam of energy that cut through space and struck the Nova charge vessel with pinpoint accuracy. The massive ship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, disintegrated into its component atoms in an instant. Silence fell across the Admiral's bridge. Then, one by one, similar structures began rising from different points around the planet, from oceans, mountains, and deserts. In the final pod, now landed near what had once been London, Carlos smiled as he received a message through his strange connection with the Guardians. "Our creators left us everything we need," he told Alan. "And Jack. The Guardians were just the first line of defense. Now the real protectors are awakening." Throughout the Volcraxian fleet, panic spread as the massive planetary weapons oriented toward them. Admiral Zekvara knew his fleet was facing annihilation. "All ships retreat immediately," he ordered. "Full emergency speed." As the Volcraxian fleet fled the Earth system, the enhanced humans gathered at the various Guardian facilities around the planet. Through their communications, they shared their discoveries, vast libraries of human knowledge, advanced technology their creators had hidden away, and most importantly, a message left for them. In the Colorado facility, Dr. Foster played the message for her team. The holographic image of a woman in a lab coat appeared before them. "If you're seeing this, then our last hope has succeeded," the woman said. "You, our children, have awakened. Earth may seem lost to you now, but we've left you the tools to reclaim it. The Guardians will protect you while you rebuild, and when you're ready, the stars await. Humanity's future is in your hands now." As the Volcraxian fleet disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Alan Grant stood at the entrance to the London facility and looked up at the stars. The sleeping giants of humanity were fully awake now, and the galaxy would never be the same again.